Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game Mess. So they're going to have what's probably going to be the most exciting video of the week for you guys today. That is because I am playing another preview version of the Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess PC port, going by the name of Courage Reborn. Linefadomra has another version out for people to make videos on and test in the background before it goes to a public release, and I will say this new update absolutely blows the doors wide open on the Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess PC front. Things are working so incredibly well. We have a ton of new features, a ton of new graphical options, and basically this thing just absolutely excels as a PC port. And the best part is you can also use Henrico's 4K texture mods, so you can actually get this thing in a lot better looking state as far as the textures are concerned. Combine that with a higher frame rate and a ton of other features that are obviously going to be something you can run on PC, and you have what's going to be the best version of Twilight Princess ever made in my opinion. So I'm going to take you through a tour of the game, talk about what is improved, so buckle in because we got a 15-minute video for you guys today. Before we get too far involved though, do me a huge favor, go down below, hit like and subscribe, and ring that notification bell. Definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined and want to support the channel, I got a Patreon link down below as well. And I will say, honestly, in a lot of spots, you would be hard-pressed to even believe that this thing was still under active development. If I post some screenshots of this and just said it was done, absolutely no one would be any the wiser. Every once in a while, you might see a little bit of a visual glitch or a bug, but going through different dungeons with different save files here, absolutely 10 out of 10 impressive just what Linefadomra has been able to do. And that is absolutely amazing. It's not like the actual Twilight Princess decomp has been done for all that long. This is basically speedrunning the concept of what a port could be, and I absolutely love to see it. And if you can tell right now on the screen, the graphics are absolutely lining up exactly as they should. All of the textures here in 4K look incredible, and everything else is just working the way I would expect it to. It's not going to be the most exciting gameplay because I'm just playing around in menus and showing you guys different pop-ups, but we'll definitely get into some more combat in just a moment. But just playing around with the lighting model here, seeing the first person view of the hookshot and everything else, you can tell that this thing is absolutely making a ton of progress, and it's absolutely something I love to see, and I think you guys are going to be very excited about as well. And the nice thing is this PC port is clearly mature enough already to be able to handle mods like the texture pack, and they're extremely easy to install, so when you guys get a chance to play this when it is out, it's basically just unzipping the textures, nesting them in a folder, and double clicking on the executable, and they instantaneously load up. And in my experience, there wasn't really any hitching in getting the textures in. Everything just seemed 100% work, so Linefadomra has done an excellent job not only getting this thing ported over to PC, but also making it very easy to use. Because you always have to remember, what I know and you know might not be what everyone out there knows, and if it's too hard to actually get some of these textures into the game or mods working, people just will not end up using them whatsoever. So it's a very nice touch that this thing is already very simple from a user perspective, and it isn't even finished yet. But as we play around in some of the dungeons here using different save files for testing, you can absolutely see how incredibly gorgeous this game looks as the PC port. Because you can obviously tell it's running at a higher internal rendering resolution and 16:9, but you can play around with the aspect ratio and basically make it whatever you want. So if you see some letterboxing on the top and the bottom, that's just me kind of having fun with overall the aspect ratio. Now as far as this game being beatable is concerned, there's definitely still going to be some crashes as far as some of the temples and dungeons are concerned, because this thing is still a work in progress in development build, and that's why it really isn't out for the public yet, because you're not going to sit down and be able to play Twilight Princess from start to finish on PC. But trust me, it is definitely getting there, and I feel like you guys will be playing this one sooner than later. And as we come into this dark room here and use the lantern, you can see that all of the visual effects for the lighting model are in, and you get all of those little flashes when you actually hit these tiny skeletons, which are still one of the more amusing enemies in Twilight Princess as far as I'm concerned. But seeing it run this well absolutely is a testament to just how far this project has come along. Again, if you just took a screenshot of this and said it was a new remaster for something like Switch 2, absolutely everyone would believe you from start to finish, minus the fact that obviously none of the geometry is being upgraded here. It's still the same amount of polygons on every single model, but hopefully in the future you'll be able to drop in whatever sort of models you want, because I know that is also going to be an option. And as we come into the cutscene here, a lot of locked off cutscenes are very interesting to look at, because that's the game and the port taking control from the player, so they should be instantaneously and infinitely repeatable the same way. And I will say again, everything here looks absolutely stunning. Now, I always like to say you guys have thousands of sets of eyes, I only have the two, so if you see anything distinctive or unique or something that seems like it's not 100% perfect, leave me a comment down below because I depend on you to find these things, because when you spend so much time capturing editing, sometimes you can basically go blind to any issues that could be in the capture. But if you take a look at everything here, it is absolutely, in my opinion, so close to flawless, and the fact that it's running at a higher frame rate just makes the game that much smoother, and it's going to make it that much more fun to play on PC. Because whether you played it on the Wii or the GameCube back in the day, Twilight Princess is absolutely an incredible game, and it's going to be made all the better going onto PC. So we're going to go into our first of 3 different soundtrack samples, but do be aware in this preview build, sometimes the audio does drop out, so I've hand selected some of the best audio here, but again, it is in active development, but it's going to be worth the wait because this thing right now, unfinished, still absolutely is excelling as a PC port. So go ahead and listen for 45 seconds, but come back. I got a lot more dungeons and footage to show you of Twilight Princess on PC. I mean, that sounds exactly like Twilight Princess should, and I like that we still have some of the black alien eye actual issues in the build. That being said, it's not supposed to happen, but just like when we had the Mr. FPJ N64 core, we had what we would call 3 Mile Island Pikachu because his eyes were actually doubled up until the actual FPJ code was complete. And it really is some of those fun, weird bugs in work in progress builds that I absolutely gravitate towards, just because you see what works and what is kind of slightly off. Like right here, as the camera changes angle, some of the geometry isn't being drawn in, so you get that little bit of a void. Now, I know that I am a very optimistic person, and I love to hype things up on the channel because retro gaming is just so fun, and I get excited about a lot of stuff, and I know you do too. But I am 100% legit telling you the truth when I say that this new PC port of Twilight Princess absolutely just seems to be doing everything right. The amount of improvements between builds is colossal, and honestly, Linefadomra just absolutely keeps killing it with all of the work that they are doing. And that definitely is a gift to retro gaming, and it's why I say retro gaming is making a comeback. You're getting so many amazing decomps, recomps, and PC ports all the time, but I think honestly, so far in 2026, The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess Courage Reborn is winning the overall PC port race. And trust me, it's not like it's really a competitive thing. Every single dev out there doing recomps or PC ports is doing an incredible job, and I don't actually weigh them against each other, but I feel like this is the one that everyone is absolutely excited about, because having something like a Twilight Princess PC port playable is going to be spectacular. It's not just going to be something that you're going to run on your high-end ranks. I'd love to see, once this preview actually gets a little bit further, because I haven't tested it yet, people playing around with stuff like Steam Deck and on-the-go gaming, because I think it really is going to excel there, because of course, as a PC port, it's not going to be the heaviest weight thing when you try to get it to run versus trying to go up to 4K in Dolphin on a Steam Deck with a texture pack. That can be a little bit dicey on the GameCube build. And as we get into the lava area here, all of the heat effect, all of the rippling on the screen is working, so you can see a lot of those different screen space effects have been properly translated over into modern GPU calls, and that is definitely something that takes a lot of work, because remember, the GameCube does not have the same hardware as something like a modern PC, and even if they both use GPUs, they definitely have a lot different calls, and those all have to be transposed to be able to work. And that's just something that you have to remember when you actually take a look at the footage. But as far as all of the different effects are concerned, I can't see anything missing right here. You have the steam and smoke coming up. You have all of the different heat whipple on the screen. Everything just seems to be working exactly as it should. And that really is something that kind of builds in the overall personality of the game, reminding you visually that you're in a very hot environment. Let's do another soundtrack sample, 35 seconds this time, but come back. I still have more dungeons, more footage, and more to talk about on the Twilight Princess PC port, because trust me, this thing is just absolutely blowing me away. I mean, it sounds pretty close to what Twilight Princess should sound like to me. Now, you might notice that when you go into some of the different actual features of the menu, like when you go into wolf form and you use that sense kind of ability, you will see that the overall screen space effect has a little bit different shading on the 4:3 aspect ratio, and you will see that in just a moment. I'm sure that's something that will be 100% cleaned up by the time this goes to a public release, but it is something that is still part of the build. You saw it right there, and that is just because the code is always factoring in this being a 4:3 game, not running at any other aspect ratio. So that is a situation that you just kind of have to fix that up when you actually get further into the PC port. But again, if I just took a screenshot right here and said this was something that was 100% finished, I really do think most people would just absolutely run with it. And again, this is just at the 0.40 version status, so there is still a lot to go. And trust me, sometimes the last little bit of bug fixing and making sure the game's 100% playable, that can take a decently long time, because the Twilight Princess game in and of itself is a very complex game when it comes to all of the different mechanics, all of the side quests, and everything else you can do within the game, and all that has to be run through and tested by different community members before it would ever go to a public release, because the last thing you want to do is release something and find out that there's some sort of progress halting bug somewhere in the game. And honestly, something like Twilight Princess, absolutely Nintendo at their weirdest when they would just put some of the strangest things in the game, because this chicken right here, absolute nightmare fuel 10 out of 10 times and twice on Sundays. As we go into the next dungeon, I will tell you right now, the controls feel absolutely flawless. There is no input latency that I can detect, and because you do have this running at a better frame rate than something like the GameCube or Wii version, it is an even smoother playing Twilight Princess than you've ever really seen before. Let's do one more soundtrack sample just because I love the music in this performance here, and I'll be right back with even more Twilight Princess footage. I've always loved that the wolf howling mechanic is how you actually perform some of the songs in Twilight Princess. It's one of those things Nintendo always had a very creative way to kind of play around with that after Ocarina of Time. And again, everything here just looks exceptional, and that really is the main takeaway of this video. No, it isn't something that you can download and test yourself yet. That will come later in time, but I understand I don't always run stuff like previews of work in progress developments when you can't play around with them. But as far as Twilight Princess Courage Reborn is concerned, I absolutely love talking about this thing. It is an impressive project, and I really love that the fan community is absolutely 100% delivering when it comes to stuff like the Twilight Princess decomp, because again, it was an absolutely massive effort to decompile that game, and the team involved in that did a spectacular job, and now different people are working on the PC port, and Linefadomra absolutely is just destroying this thing. I am so impressed just how far this has come since the last time I took a preview build out for a ride, which I think right now is maybe 3 weeks ago or so when it was actually sent to me. It is a night and day difference when it comes to the overall performance, the graphics, and everything else. And again, a lot of times I just completely forget that I am doing something like playing a work in progress Twilight Princess PC build, because when it is working correctly, and that is more often than not now, you really wouldn't notice anything whatsoever that was an issue outside of some of the characters having slightly black eyes. But again, that is pretty hilarious to me. Kind of feels like you have some sort of Twilight Princess being invaded by an actual alien entity. And you might notice here I've cropped some of the top and bottom off just to get the cutscene a little bit larger in the window. That's not anything that's happening within the engine. And hanging out in Link's house here, and who puts ladders up to their bed? If he has to rock a piss in the middle of the night, he's absolutely going to die. You're just circling around him. This is stunning. There is not a stray pixel here. There really isn't any issues. Everything looks exactly where it needs to be, and that is definitely some highly impressive stuff. And I can't wait to test another build of this. Hopefully in maybe a couple of weeks, maybe a month or so, I will rerun this video, because I'm definitely going to keep up with this project as it goes through all of its development, because it's some big decomp energy through and through, even if this instance it's big PC port energy. But sure to that, if you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.